Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. My name is Paul Salter, and I'm a triple-digit golfer on a quest to become a scratch golfer. I'm also a high-performance mindset coach and credentialed hypnotherapist with 15 years of experience helping high performers from all walks of life get unstuck and unlock their full potential. Join me each week as I not only detail my journey, but make mastering the mental game of golf simple, tangible, and relatable so that you can overcome the mental hazards keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance. It's the first hole. You've placed your tee in the ground. You've adjusted your ball to the perfect height. You've taken a step back, taken a few calming collective breaths to gain your composure, taken perhaps one, maybe even two practice swings, and you begin to initiate your process of lining up to the ball to start your round. You check your grip, your aim and alignment, your stance. You waggle once or twice, and the millisecond before you begin to initiate your backswing, you notice something feels a little off, almost like you're standing on a pebble. You notice maybe your aim is not quite at the exact angular alignment you desire. Yet, you swing anyway. Or perhaps on the very next shot, which, by the way, you have driven very well right off the edge of the fairway, a slight uphill lie on a dogleg left. And you see your line, you ready yourself, you take a couple practice swings, yet you're not quite sure how to adjust both your stance and maybe your swing to a degree as you navigate this uphill lie that is, well, just awkward, different to say the least. And as you prepare yourself and focus in on that dimple there on the back of the ball, beginning to initiate your backswing, something doesn't feel right, but you swing anyway. Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. So happy you're here, and hopefully that lays a clear, obvious foundation of the direction of our conversation today, where I will be breaking down what I like to refer to as, and I read this somewhere else, as the anyway swing. My name is Paul Salter. I am an improving, yet still currently a triple-digit golfer on a quest to become a scratch golfer and also a high-performance mindset coach and hypnotherapist. And today, you're going to get an update on my second round of 9 holes on my scratch golf journey. We're going to dig into the anyway shot, talk a little bit about what I learned related to course etiquette, observations, and other players as I put my coaching hat on simultaneously while playing with them. And you're going to walk away with some prompts and food for thought around the numerous, incalculable maybe, number of anyway shots that you hit throughout your round. And I want to begin right there. Value coming at you a million miles an hour. With that said, what is the anyway shot? An anyway shot is any particular situation you find yourself in where you know that something is off. Something is not quite right. Almost as if there is a crack in your metaphorical pre-shot routine armor, yet you hit the shot anyway. And I could go off on a tangent and talk about how there's never a perfect condition or moment. But I will tell you, in the game of golf where numerous variables are outside of your control, you have a lot of control over your pre-shot routine. In fact, you have total control of that 30 to 60 second process you take from the time it is your turn to hit until you follow through on that swing. And there exists a multitude of external and internal distractions, a collection of emotional and potential mental hazards of your mind that can derail you and shake you from feeling the sense of peace, stillness, and presence you seek that will allow you to swing smoothly, fluidly, and effortlessly to hit the ball in the direction you desire it to go. And anytime you allow a crack in that metaphorical armor of your pre-shot routine, you invite in temptation, distraction that may look and feel like doubt, uncertainty, second guessing yourself. It may sound like an animal noise from afar, the rustling or wrestling of clubs, or the phone or jingling of keys from your playing partner, or collectively your foursome. It may sound like something completely out of nowhere from another hole nearby. There is no shortage of potential distractions or variables on the golf course that may knock you out of the focus, presence, and awareness you need to hit your best shot. Yet, we feel so compelled in these moments, for a variety of reasons, to hit the shot anyway. And it is this approach, this feeling of an overwhelming knowing that I should step away, I should back off my ball, but not doing so, that leads to costing you 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 or 6 strokes on any given round. Because when you are not set, when you're not confident in your line, your club selection, your aim, your grip, your stance, you have a diminished chance and likelihood of executing the swing you need to hit a good shot. And any disturbance in that pre-shot routine is going to dramatically reduce the likelihood that you hit the shot you desire. Yet, what I'm telling you isn't new. You know this. And one of your takeaways from today's episode is to begin to reflect on, during or immediately after your round, how many anyway shots do you hit during a specific round? Is it 2? 5? 10 or more? My estimate is you might hit at least 5 to 10 anyway shots throughout an entire 18 hole round, That could be 5 to 10 different strokes you could potentially save if you gather the courage, awareness, and composure to back off the ball anytime something doesn't feel right. Now, why do we feel a sense of resistance to backing off the ball? Well, there's a multitude of factors, but some of them that I think are most relatable and powerful, both in your life and your game, as well as mine, is first and foremost, maybe you feel a little rushed, a little pressured to hit your shot and keep playing. You know, I learned this firsthand. I played with a playing partner, a new friend of mine, this past Wednesday, my first time playing with this particular person. Alex, shout out to you, my friend. Had a great time, learned a tremendous amount. I'll talk about that more a little later on in the episode. But he taught me a lot about pace of play. And granted, we were playing at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon in fucking 92-degree weather in Florida. It was hot. The course was pretty empty. But there were a couple people out there, and I asked some just candid questions like, what's the expectation when his ball's over there and mine's over here? How long do you look for it? When do you hit the shot when you do have a foursome behind you, a foursome in front of you? And as I shared during my very first 9 holes, I believe in episode 1 or 2, like I felt pressure with people constantly on my ass during that round. And this second round, like, if I'm already taking 20 to 30 seconds, especially if my partner's routine is 10 seconds or less, but to set up to the ball, I feel a sense of pressure just to hurry up and execute my shot and get on with the round. So that is a very destructive force, belief, and line of thinking that makes it that much more difficult to back off the ball and prevent myself from taking an anyway shot. Additionally, our mind is incredibly good at justifying, rationalizing the choice to hit the shot anyway. And the way that we do that is we make it seem like whatever that distraction or off-putting feeling we're experiencing is, our mind convinces us it's insignificant. We've got this. We can handle it. And then moments later after we swing, we make a mistake or hit a poor shot, and we launch, there it is, into just a wrath of self-deprecating talk, belief, behavior towards ourselves. Then it's like, well, damn it, I knew it. I should have backed off the ball. Why didn't you? And this really just further fuels a downward spiral of negative self-talk. It increases the intensity of anger and frustration we experience, which we've talked at length about already, really knocks us off our game, creates tension, tightness, pressure, heaviness in our body, disrupting our swing, and inevitably ruining the opportunity to shoot a low score and maximize the amount of enjoyment and fun we're having on the course. So when it comes to that anyway shot, we want to start bringing in some compassionate, non-judgmental awareness to when, why, and how it's occurring. Can we identify a theme, trend, or pattern? Does it occur in particular situations where you have a lie that you haven't worked on much? Using that example from my intro, I had a couple lies, given I've only played a few rounds at this point, where it was an uphill or a downhill lie. And to be frank, I had no fucking clue how to adjust, if to adjust my stance, my approach, my swing. So I brought in a large degree of uncertainty and almost doubt and second guessing into that swing. And that knocked me out of my presence in that moment from swinging effortlessly and fluidly. So the one beautiful thing that we can really learn from the patterns of situations we hit anyway shots is it shines a bright big spotlight on what aspect of our game we might need to focus on more away from the course. Anytime you're hitting a shot where there's doubt, uncertainty, second guessing, or just a general, I have no fucking clue. Also similar to me when I find myself in a sand trap, though I was 1 for 1 with a fucking sweet up and down last week. Really, really cool. I digress. But anytime there's doubt, uncertainty, or second guessing, it's just an opportunity to make a note during your round on what you need to study and focus on away from the course. That way, all of your off-the-course practice at the range, the putting green, the chipping green, you can work to strengthen those areas so that when you find yourself in similar situations during your next round, there's no doubt, uncertainty, or second-guessing present. You have a plan. You have a past history, a log of evidence supporting you've worked on this particular situation. You have the experience, the knowledge, and the toolkit to successfully navigate it so you can be as present as possible. Second, just really beginning, I feel, to gain awareness on how detrimental and destructive the impact of hitting 5 to 10 anyway shots per round can be is a powerful Kickstarter to begin motivating you to stop hitting them. When you start to see that it's costing you 3, 6, maybe even 10 strokes potentially per round, well, fuck, if the name of the game is shoot as low a score as you possibly can, and you here have 6 to 10 explicit examples of when you may be costing yourself a stroke, you become more convinced, more compelled to slow down. Now, another reason these anyway shots occur is just due to the emotional accumulation that's present every single golf round. And, whether it's frustration, anger, pressure, urgency, whatever emotion begins to kind of kickstart the accumulation of collective emotions in your body, this emotional pressure that gradually builds throughout the round lends itself to urgency because there's more tension and tightness in your body as the round progresses. It becomes harder. You become a little bit more more rigid and immovable. Therefore, it becomes harder to literally move and back away from the ball. And when frustration is very high, beginning to make itself known and to sit in the driver's seat of your round, the way that we work through frustration is just trying to force a good shot. We try to initiate and enact more and more control. Yet deep down, when we take a massive step back, you and I both know that in a game in which we want to exert as much control as possible, we actually have to let go of control. We have to surrender to capture more control. So more awareness of our emotion, more off the course emotional awareness, management, and regulation work, bringing into our round some emotional regulation strategies. All of this can collectively help prevent or even at least minimize the number of anyway shots we are hitting. And then lastly, we are all biologically hardwired with 3 core fears. I call this the fear jar: fear of judgment, abandonment, and rejection. Focusing on the J and R, judgment and rejection. We are just so programmed to care about what other people think. And there's a lot of off the course, away from the course work that we can do to release this. However, just even the conscious top of mind reminder that you've got all of the time in the world you need right now to hit your shot. If you need to back off, that's okay. Because truthfully, it's another fucking 30 seconds. Most people probably have their head in their phone or are daydreaming or talking quietly while you're hitting, so they're not really paying attention. 2, those who get it, who are taking the game seriously, are going to understand. Like, there's a collective understanding that everyone is there to have fun, but also to play their best. And they support that. And I need you to remember that. I need you to be your biggest advocate, your biggest supporter. You're the one who has total control over doing everything within your control to optimize your pre-shot routine and the foundation of your physical, emotional, and mental attitude towards your approach of every single shot. If something doesn't feel right, back off. Do not hit it anyway. So your challenge this week is to bring some awareness into the number of anyway shots you execute per round. Use them as a spotlight to identify the situations, patterns, or areas of your swinging game you need to work on away from the round. Use them as opportunities to confront some of the emotional and mental hazards that are currently plaguing your game and keeping you stuck in a proverbial bunker of poor performance. Use them as an opportunity to practice some of the emotional regulation skills you've learned. Use them as an opportunity to practice quieting your mind, to demonstrate to yourself how much patience, care, and compassion you have for yourself and your ability to shoot the lowest score possible and back off the ball. Now, let's dive into a recap of Paul's game. So since we last connected on the podcast, I have played, let me think to make sure I get my dates right, played 1 round with that friend Alex I mentioned, a round of 9 at Rocky Point Golf Course here in Tampa, Florida. I had 1 additional lesson with my coach, John, and a couple practice sessions ranging from just chipping and putting, which I'm growing, abundantly more confident here, in a few range sessions that have been hit or miss. And I'll start with the practice sessions. And I plan to dive into this and really introduce kind of the concept of the adult learning model in next week's episode. So stay tuned for that. But essentially now, I'm migrating through this phase of conscious awareness of I'm aware of what I don't know. I'm aware of the mistakes I'm making. I'm aware of the ball's trajectory and the feedback that gives me about my swing. I'm still not confident or able to consistently diagnose what I'm doing wrong with my swing. So I'm gaining progress there. I'm able to do a little troubleshooting on the fly when I'm having a solo range session. I'm able to break my swing down a little bit to start with very small backswings and whatnot. But I came to John, my coach, during our last lesson, and I said, John, When I hit with you here on the range, like I feel like a confident golfer. Like I feel like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. Like it's a matter of weeks before it comes together and I'm shooting double digits. Yet when I'm on the range by myself, I feel so discombobulated. And one of the reasons I love John as my coach is he said, well, okay, Paul, important to keep in mind, you just started doing this, but let me see what I can do to get you combobulated. Is that a word? Funny man, fantastic coach. And he gave me a lot of good examples. And I thought what was interesting is I brought some of what I had learned from him, those foundational teaching moments, to my round with Alex. And I started the round great. I'm trying to find my score. I left my scorecards over there. I'm not going to get up for the video's sake. But my first drive, like I shared in the intro, like right on the edge of the fairway with my 3-wood, probably hit it 215, 220. Like, fuck yeah. My next shot, I hit well, chunked it a little bit. But like I played well. One of the holes I blew up dramatically. Like I hit 2 out of bounds shots into the water. And I scored an 11 on a par 5. It happens. Golf is a tough game. But throughout the round, the reason I share this is Alex, who's been golfing since high school, 15, 20 years at this point, great golfer, shoots mid 80s. He was giving me a lot of feedback on my technique, and he was pointing out a lot of things that were so novel to me, A, but B, that I was unaware of, like how I was shifting my weight so aggressively throughout starting and stopping my swing that was knocking me off balance, causing me to hit off the hosel or just hit the ball entirely. So I was learning a lot, and I can confidently say I struck the ball this round dramatically night and day better compared to my previous rounds. Scoring wouldn't indicate that. I shot a 64, a true 64, and that's 1 stroke better. So I'm trending in the right direction, but I hit the ball well. Yet I left that day feeling great, feeling like I was making progress. And when I went to the range the next day, I was so discombobulated. I had so much thought in my head of various points of focus, and my mind was wandering that I couldn't actually quiet my mind as consistently as I wanted to create the opportunity to swing smoothly, fluidly, and effortlessly. I couldn't quiet my mind enough to allow my subconscious to take over and execute the swing it already knows how to do. The swing that's being shaped as I've worked closely with John. So my biggest learning lesson this past week is to focus and commit on my swing. I understand completely where Alex was coming from. So helpful. And I truly learned a lot. And some of that I will take with me. But I've got to remain laser focused, cultivating intentional tunnel vision on my few steps, my grip, my aim, my swing, my stance, that rounded semicircle back, swinging through the ball just like I'm swinging a baseball bat. These are the subtle cues that John has helped me craft to create a consistent swing. The more I invite in numerous other cues, feedbacks, and techniques to focus on while swinging, the more discombobulated I'm going to feel. And the reason I share this is to echo the same reminder to you. You have a swing. Stick to it. Commit to it. If you truly are committed to changing your swing, then go ask for help, work with the coach, get the swing instruction you need, and dedicate all of your golf time, attention, and energy on learning and ingraining this new swing. Very, very important. A couple other subtle takeaways here. Putting and short game continue to be nice. I learned a lot this round about the difference between my pitching wedge, my 50, 52, and 60, when and when not to use them. My 52 and 50 haven't really touched on the practice range just due to I was naive. I didn't really know the difference until Alex took the time to break them down for me. So like I said, I swung well. I made solid, smooth, clean contact on the majority of my shots, but my distances and my apex and trajectory were quite inconsistent because I didn't know how far or how hard to hit some of these clubs because I hadn't practiced with them. So although I was making some clean contact, I was still pushing a few shots to the right, and my balls might come up anywhere from 10 to 30 yards short or long from my target because I didn't have the library of evidence to understand how I hit these particular wedges. So I've got a good idea and more clarity there. And something I noticed in Alex that I think is worthwhile in sharing is on the concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So Alex is a self-described mid-80s golfer. And we just played 9 together. And going into the last round, or last hole, excuse me, I'm closing my eyes as I recall because I left the scorecard over there on my phone. I believe Alex was at a 36 through 9 with a par 4 to go. Maybe he was at a 37. And he literally said out loud to me something along the lines of like, he was getting in his head like, oh, I've never shot this low. I'm at a 37. Like I could shoot a 41 here. And he was getting in his head about his score. And inevitably he double bogeyed. He also went on to tell me that he always scores well on the front 9 and not well on the back 9 because in his words, he's fat and out of shape. So I texted him later because he played 18 and I had to leave after 9. And he said, if he ended up shooting, let's call it a 43 on the front, he shot a 46 or maybe a 47 on the back. His belief, the story he was telling himself came true because he continued to ingrain the story of I shoot bad on the back 9 because I am X, Y, and Z. The more he lended time, energy, emotion, and attention to that story, the more it became his reality. Because I have to remind you, your subconscious wants to make your thoughts real. You have to let go of these destructive mindset programs, sabotaging behaviors, beliefs, and limiting stories that you're spewing because your subconscious wants them to come through. So I share that as an example of where I had my coaching hat on sneakily in the background as I played with Alex, and I caught on quite quickly on how this self-talk, this story he continued to indulge in, literally manifested as reality over and over again. And there's simply some work to be done in these particular areas as he continues to work on his game, both on and off the course. Well, I sincerely thank you for listening to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable as you look to bring more awareness and acknowledging the number of anyway swings that make themselves known as a part of your game. If you found this podcast helpful, hey, we're brand new. I'd greatly appreciate it to share with whoever you golf with or know would find value improving their mental game so they can shoot lower scores more consistently and have fun doing so. And if you found it valuable, it would mean the world to me if you leave a genuine rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Have a phenomenal rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next episode.